Sounds of battle. It's not just the clang of metal upon metal, the occasional scream of pain. Sorry, men don't scream, do they? Cry of pain. But it's also the calls and shouts of the commanders to move their men backwards and forwards into effective fighting blocks. And indeed the motivational chants, rather like the modern football chants that inspire the men to fight harder. And I do believe then we have gunners on the field.
Yay!
On the side of the Duke of Suffolk. So can we have a cheer for the gunners?
Yay!
Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you are to the rear of the crowd on the side of the tavern, you can still get a better view if you move round the back of the Living History camp to the other side. There are still some spaces available on the other side, and you can move round the back there to get a better view should you wish to. Of course, a lot of the men will chant in Latin. If you listen very carefully, you will occasionally hear Adventate Sida Rexus coming from the red and green of the de Cobham household. And this loosely translates to, come on if you think you're hard enough. Of course, it's very difficult. You can see that our men mostly have their faces covered. Some of the helmets will be worn for our battles with visors up for added visibility.
I'm watching this guy.
And safety.
But
in the real battle scenario, you would have only a very, very narrow slit with which to see, and you would be working in quite a restricted vision capability. Now this means it's very difficult to not only recognise your own men, but the men that are fighting opposite. And for this reason, or one of the reasons, this is why the men are wearing colours. So you know that if you recognise the colours of the man, they are your colours. Standing next to you, he is a friend. And if he walks in a different suite of colours, the colours of the enemy, you can see those through your narrow visor. And you can attack him quite readily.
No, the water lady took another hit. Hey, he's on the floor there.
Protecting the trebuchet, sir. No, thank you, I don't want a beer. I didn't say the sappers were terribly bright men, just very useful. So we have some very effective polearm work here on the side. We have bill blocks with the blue and white of the Bonavent household fighting for the Duke of Suffolk. And the red and green of the de Cobham household fighting for Sir William. So I do believe it's time for a supporting cheer for Sir William Fiennes. Can we have a cheer for Sir William?
Yay! That got them motivated.
And while I'm over here, a word or two about those devilish gunners. And we have 4 gunners on the field today, which is rather good. Now the guns are actually very effective by this period. You think that they were very dangerous pieces of equipment. Well, they did still occasionally explode when the men shot them. You can see we have a lady gunner as well. This is quite realistic. Often gunners would bring their wives and families and teach the whole family to be part of the gun trade. Now, if you're interested in the guns and all the detail of the history about the guns in the medieval period, then please do go up to the gun camp, which is at the back of the battlefield at 1 o'clock, where they will be firing the marvellous bombard cannon.
Yes.
Now, in the centre of the field, I can see we still have Sir Christopher Hartley in the red and white, directly engaged with the Duke of Suffolk's regiment. The centre block there still fighting quite fiercely. But you can see that others have fallen back. They have withdrawn in good order. And they are taking on water. This is very important. Now the armour that they are wearing is quite heavy. It can be up to about 4 or 5 stone, depending on how much you have strapped about your person. And this can be, most men are wearing no more than a modern marine's pack. But it is strapped about the person, so it is very flexible. Unfortunately, though, it does not breathe. And also, of course, the heat of the sun, combined with the heat of the man's energy, as his activities in the fight are creating even more heat.
Blue Knight's going down. Down, down, down.
They will make him hotter and hotter. And of course, there is a danger, a very serious danger of dehydration. So the men will break in battle to take on water. As you can see, the Bonivans, the blue and white and the red and green just going back into battle, having done just such a thing. So on a warm day like this, possibly the most important people on the battlefield are not the fighters, but are the water carriers. Now you can see with these long engagements, though, the men do get tired. Several of the battles that were documented lasted no more than 45 minutes in the time of the War of the Cousins. Others did last longer, and it of course depends on how many men you have as to how long a rolling melee you can actually set up and maintain. Now we have, I can see Sir William there looking at the status of the fighters, and another reason for having breaks in the fight was so that and he's just decided that there is a strategic need for a few extra fighters to come over and help this block on the right flank. And you can see Sir Christopher Hartley compensating to make sure that the remaining men on the left flank are not attacked. This was all about the strategy of the battle, to make sure that you were not putting your men in any risk, or as little risk as possible. And quite a fierce battle going on this side now. An awful lot of fighters going in there, leaving a fairly well exposed small group of fighters in the centre. So, ladies and gentlemen, who do you think is winning so far? Is it the Duke of Suffolk?
Boo!
Or is it Sir William Fine?
Yay!
Well, I have to say there's 1 or 2 casualties now. And certainly the men are looking tired. Oh my goodness, and the centre block there going in against the Duke's own household.
He got better.
Send your flesh through. Come back. I'll bite your hands off.
Now we've got lots of different weapons on the field
All right,
today.
let's call it a draw.
We have not only, of course, our gunners and our archers, but we have those men fighting in hand-to-hand combat. Now, a lot of them will be using long pole arms. And these are, oh my goodness, and there's an attack on the gunners and on the trebuchet crew.
Yay.
And as we saw, the trebuchet crew were just sitting around drinking beer, so it didn't take long to finish them off.
And there was much rejoicing. Yeah.
And there we have the Sir William's men have managed to capture the trebuchet. And they're trying to destroy it now, so it can't do any more damage. So the pole arms are the long halves of wood with a metal implement on the end, and they can either be worked in groups and teams, or they can be used individually. The Duke of Suffolk himself chooses a pole axe, and he works both ends using the axe head and the meat tenderizer, a slab of metal that's very good for breaking bones and also breaking the articulation of the armour. Of course, if the armour is broken and the arm cannot move or the leg cannot move, it's very difficult to actually continue the battle. You do not have the flexibility that you once had. So the poleaxe doesn't have to actually break bones to be effective. Of course, we also have a number of other weapons, smaller weapons, but just as lethal, including a range of different swords. We have long swords, short swords, sometimes a slightly curved blade called a falchion.
Heavy armour coming in now.
And often you'll see a man fighting with a sword and a small round shield called a buckler. Now it looks as though Sir William's archers are retiring into the castle. Can we have please a cheer for Sir William's archers? Yay! They live to fight another day. Now the Duke has made quite considerable progress here, and he has, although it looks as though the trebuchet has been damaged, he has in fact driven many of Sir William's men right back to the castle. So I do believe we need to have at this time a cheer for the Duke of Suffolk. Now he is just commanding the different ranks, stepping forward to join in the fight, because this Duke is a very experienced warrior in his own right. My goodness, he's tried to... and you can see the Duke himself there using the poleaxe, using both ends of the poleaxe and finishing that man off who deigned to attack him. Oh, nasty.
He likes working the shaft.
And they are fighting back up onto the bridge. Some of these men are fighting very, very strongly for Sir William. Can we please have a loud cheer for Sir William's men? Yay! And it does look as though Sir William and Robert Hexham himself, they are both retiring into the castle. Which I do believe means, with the number of bodies on the floor, ladies and gentlemen supporting the Duke of Suffolk, you have won! They have driven the men into the castle, and I will approach the Duke to see what his intention is now.
Well, I thought we'd go down to the Bucks and Wench, have a beer, you know, try and talk it out a bit.
A good pair of boots worth a lot, as are all the various pieces of armour that you can take. Sir, what is your intention?
Unfortunately, my lady, Sir William has left us with no alternative. We will bring up guns and more men, and we will lay siege to this castle, and if he shows any sign of a speck of intelligence, maybe he will surrender this very day. He will wish his father were here. Maybe that's his only chance.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Duke has spoken. He is going to besiege the castle. And I do believe that Sir William will be forced out of the castle to fight once again. And I do hope that you will come to the rear battlefield this afternoon to see that very episode. So I say a huge thank you to you for listening and watching us. And we do hope you have enjoyed this morning's entertainment. And I give you the Medieval Siege Society and friends. Yay!